I think the government needs to kind of have a long, hard look at itself and decide whether it represents what Australia needs and what Australia is. It needs to look at how it, as a government, can change policy to be more inclusive or change ideas to be more inclusive. And from a young First Nations woman, the government needs to organise and work towards having a treaty with First Nations peoples, because we are the most marginalised people in our country and it's our own country. And so I think that's something that needs to change.
So there's a lot can be done through community champions. I think we need to identify community champions and work with them, because they'll draw out the issues. Because some women do not want to speak out boldly. When you come to kinship ties, cultural nuances, it's difficult. So I think better action can be generated through community champions.
The main thing right now is the federal government should have a royal commission into abuse and neglect of people with disabilities. We've been calling for that for years.
The government is here to represent us. The government is here to represent all women and all women here in Australia. The government needs to put their money where their mouth is, keep funding services that exist to support women, particularly domestic violence services. They need to introduce positive discrimination legislation to make sure that we're closing that opportunity gap. And more importantly, they need to remember that women vote. Do a gender assessment of any legislation that you're going to put through. Think about how that might impact different members of the community differently. And if it doesn't impact women positively, go back and reevaluate.
I think the government needs, again, to listen to women, and listen to women's needs, and listen to women's groups, and definitely create policies to ensure that women are put into leadership positions, and also ensure that not just women, but non-binary groups, every other person is involved in the conversations that lead to the creations of policies and laws.
What I think the government should do? Well, I think there's some basic things. I think in the ACT specifically, we have a consent law at the moment, which definition is a negative definition of consent. We need to have that as an affirmative definition. And I don't know why the ACT hasn't moved very quickly to be progressive on that and to actually make sure the consent laws reflect what we should be doing. There needs to be far more investment in preventing violence in the first place. We need to look at respectful relationships in schools. And we need to do far more. We need to do a big transform of cultural attitudes. We need to be getting out there with the big campaigns to actually make sure that people are radically shifting how we currently act and how we treat people.